Hi, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to change out the coolant on your Lamborghini Gallardo. This works for any Lamborghini Gallardo, regardless of year. There's two methods that are known out there in the Lambo world on how to perform this procedure. There's one that I found on lamboweb.com. I'll link it in the description, or the description below. And it involves you taking out the front trunk and loosening these vent valves on top of the radiator cores. And to be honest with you, that's something I really can't advise it against. So I really recommend you don't do that. I tried it and I did not have good success with it. But today I'm going to show you a procedure that you can do that's I feel is a lot easier and also a lot more effective. So the first thing you might ask is, I thought my coolant was good for life. Why do I have to change it out? And although the Lamborghini does recommend that you never change out your coolant, it's something I don't really agree with. And I think it should be a service procedure that you should perform every 5 to 7 years on your car. Because over time, your coolant system will develop scale and rust deposits, and you want to flush that out. And then over time, your coolant will also become a little bit more acidic. So it's just a good idea to do that over time. And I think the lifetime fill thing is a little bit of a half-truth. I don't think a lot of the time the OEM manufacturer looks past who owns the vehicle outside of the warranty. But you do see a lot of lifetime fill advertisement on a lot of systems like transmissions. You see it a lot on, and even engine oils, they're trying to extend the life on by advertising that the engine oil only needs to be changed every 15,000 miles or so. And although fluid systems such as engine oil and transmission oil have become a lot more advanced in recent years, I still think there is warrant to change it out a lot more frequently. And I don't think that there is any sort of true lifetime fill system. You know, over time, anything's going to break down, and it's going to cost you more than $100 worth of fluid to fix the component that fails eventually. So next you may ask, well, what kind of coolant should I put in my car? Since we have aluminum block with aluminum heads, aluminum piping, and aluminum radiators, we're not going to want to put any sort of coolant into our car. Lamborghini has a recommendation, but what I found most common in the States is something used by Audi and Volkswagen. And this comes in a lot of varieties by Volkswagen. So you have G11, G12, G12++, G12 Plus, and G13. And you might ask, well, which one's good for my Gallardo? And I'm going to make it simple for you. And I recommend using G13. G13 has been used since 2008. And the best part about it is it's backwards compatible with all previous coolants. So if you put G13 in your car, you're going to be good to go no matter what. And coolant comes in two varieties. One is concentrated, and then the other is a 50-50 mix. I don't really like using the 50-50 mix because I feel it's a good way for the manufacturer just to dilute their coolant a little bit and then charge the same price. So what we're going to do is we're going to flush out the coolant that is already in the car with distilled water. And for you, I recommend doing this twice. For me, I'm going to be performing this 4 times. And what we're going to be left with at the end of the day is about 10 liters of distilled water left inside the system. And then when we put in another 10 liters of concentrated coolant, we're going to have almost an optimum mixture of distilled water to coolant. And it's going to achieve a 50-50 mix that the manufacturer recommends from the factory. So in the description below, I'm going to link several coolants that you can use on your car from several suppliers so you can make the best decision for yourself. So first off, I recommend you taking off the coolant reservoir cap. And I only recommend this when the motor is cold or if after it's been sitting for a couple hours, as the system is under pressure. So first you're going to want to jack up the car on the frame rail that runs transverse to the length of the car, right underneath the transmission, and put a good set of jack stands underneath. I have a set of jack stands from Esco. They're excellent. I'll link them in the description below. If you have a set of quick jacks, or I think they're called rapid jacks, I'm very jealous. I really should get myself a set of those. So when you're under the car, you're going to see 2 H6 bolts running to aluminum coolant lines. And this is the lowest point of the coolant system. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-treat these a little bit with my blowtorch. I do not want to strip these because that would be a very bad day, and I would not want to have to TIG weld a new banjo bolt onto, or a new bung onto that aluminum pipe. So I'm going to pre-treat that, and then when that goes back on with new crush washers, I am going to put a little bit of anti-seize on there as well. So I'm going to get those loosened up, and then we can drain the coolant out. Oh jeez, okay. So I got very lucky, and I was able to get those fasteners out. So I'm going to undo one at a time, and then let the coolant drain into this reservoir I have underneath. Oh, there it goes. Oh, jeez. So as soon as I undid that bolt, coolant flew everywhere. All over my camera, all over me, all over the car, like just everywhere. But surprisingly, it made it into the reservoir I had underneath. So since I only jacked up the rear of the car, I'm going to lower the rear end down to allow more of the coolant to flow out of those two passageways that lead to the front of the car. If you have a set of quick jacks, you're not going to need to do this. Or if you have a set of, or if you did where you jacked up the front as well, you're not going to need to do this either. And what this is going to do is allow us to get the most coolant out possible on the first flush. And so I'm just jacking it down to the point where the car almost touches the drain tank. And I'm getting a lot more coolant out this way. So once you're done draining, you're going to want to put these fasteners back in. And if you're just doing the flush portion of this, I'd recommend that you just tighten this down with a socket wrench, but not too tight. And then when you do your final fill, I recommend tightening these down with new crush washers. I'm going to link those in the description below. And then tightening this down to about 25 foot-pounds. No more, because this is an aluminum bung, and I do not want you to strip that out. So next we're going to lower down the car and then pop the hood and start filling it with distilled water when the engine's not running. So when I was filling this, I was able to get about 10.5 liters of distilled water into the system without even the motor running. And I pulled out about 15 liters. So there's about 5 liters on the table somewhere, maybe a little bit less, that I wasn't able to get into the system initially. And I know there's far more effective methods to be able to get this into the car, such as vacuum-assisted pump sort of systems, and but I wanted to show you as the DIYer that you can do this at home and not be intimidated by it without any sort of special tools or anything like that. So we're just filling it up until it doesn't take any more coolant, and then putting the cap on it, and then we're going to go out and take it for a drive. So in this drive, I just wanted to drive around the block really quick, let the thermostat open on the motor, let the coolant circulate through the passages, and then get the coolant that was trapped inside the motor in a place where we can actually flush it. Expansion tank is a little bit low on coolant, yes, but with such a short drive, it shouldn't be an issue. If it does make you uncomfortable, you can wait till the motor is warmed up in your driveway, turn off the motor, and then fill the remaining expansion tank by opening it slowly and then filling it with distilled water. This system does a really good job at burping itself and preventing any sort of air pockets from forming inside the system. So there's nothing really to be concerned about on that aspect. So when you get back to your drive, you're going to want to let the car cool down for a couple hours, and then you're going to want to flush the system for a total of 2 times. This will ensure that you get the most amount of the old coolant out that was left in the motor, and circulate it through enough to where you have a low concentration of the old coolant left and you have a high concentration of the distilled water. On the final fill, the concentrated coolant is going to have a higher viscosity than the distilled water, and because of that, it's going to take a lot longer for the concentrated coolant to go into the coolant reservoir than the distilled water did. Don't be alarmed if that happens to you. You should be able to put all 10 liters into the coolant reservoir without starting the motor. And then you're going to want to take it for a drive again, and then top it off with distilled water. I would probably do this twice. I'd probably top it off after maybe 5 minutes of driving, and then come home, let the engine cool down a little bit, and then top it off to the max level that you'll see inside of the coolant reservoir again. So I hope this video helped you, and I hope it demystified a couple things regarding this service procedure, and I hope it reduced a little bit of the intimidation behind working on these cars. It's pretty easy overall once you get the hang of it and you know where those special bungs are underneath the car. If this helped you, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Or if you have any thoughts or anything that I might have missed out, please include that as well. I'd like to hear what you think. And until next time, thanks.